Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me at another episode of Tuesday Tips. I am your host, Sharon Johnson from TRAYNE51 Strategy and Consulting. Our topic for today is practice transformation in independent physician practices, a comprehensive perspective. So let's dive right in. In the evolving healthcare landscape, independent physician practices like yours face numerous challenges, including shifting reimbursement models, increasing administrative burdens, and the imperative to enhance patient care quality. To navigate these complexities, many practices, including yours, are turning to practice transformation. It is a holistic approach to restructuring practice operations to improve efficiency, patient outcomes, and financial stability. So before we go moving forward, let's define what practice transformation is. Practice transformation refers to a comprehensive change process within a physician's practice. It focuses on adopting patient-centered care models, integrating advanced health information technologies, and fostering a culture of continuous quality improvement as well as process improvement. If you are a independent physician practice that is transitioning from traditional volume-based care to value-based care, your goal is to emphasize outcomes and patient satisfaction. So before we even get to all of the key components in approaching a practice transformation, quality improvement, or process improvement, the first thing you would want to do is to get an assessment. You want to assess the lay of the land in your practice. And remember, each practice is different in size, scope, staffing resources, financial resources, and also within your specialty. So there are some things that are variations within specialties. You also, from after the assessment, you also would want to get your stakeholders, right? Those are your clinical staff that are in the practice. Those are folks that are rooming the patients, taking care of the patients. These are folks that are also actively participating in helping you taking care of your patients. So ask them about their feedback. What are some of the things that within their process that they're seeing that could be a barrier or challenge? And what are some of the things also based on the requirements for the program you're participating that could be enhanced, or is it going to be a challenge, a barrier? So get your stakeholders' feedback. Then you want to be able to design your current state. Like, what does it look like today? How do we see patients? What is our workflow? What are some of the things that are currently happening within our practice? And the reason why I want to go back to asking your stakeholders is that some of these processes may be documented in your standard operation procedures if you have them, or if you don't have them, it could be one of those that are inherently just because they either have been there for quite some time or they've identified barriers and challenges in their processes and tried to put a resolution so that they can effectively work in the space that they're in. So whether you're at the front desk, you are rooming a patient, you're also maybe a back end person if you're working in a referral or a billing capacity. So those are things that you want to be part of your assessment. Once you have gotten all these things, you want to analyze, what is my cost benefit analysis? What is also my gap analysis? And then from there, when you design your current state, you want to see what that future state looks like. Where do I want to be in this practice transformation? What needs to change and what does that look like? Visualization helps with workflows or process maps, so you can see how the workflows in your practice actually visually work in terms of what happens in your practice. So just a couple call outs before you dive into practice transformation. Let's get into the key components of practice transformation. So component one is patient-centered care models. At the heart of practice transformation is the adoption of care models that prioritize patients' needs and preference. Some of you may be familiar with this is the patient-centered medical home. This is the example characterized by coordination, accessibility, and comprehensive care. If you are in other models that you're implementing, patient satisfaction, improving health outcomes, and fostering a profound sense of empathy and care toward patients, likely you might be in a patient-centered care model. Second component is the use of health information technology integration. So that effective use of electronic health records and other digital tools is vital for streamlining workflows and facilitating better patient care. Studies indicate that practices leveraging HIT can achieve improved care coordination and efficiency. Not to mention, we're also segueing into some AI tools out there. And so that'll be next week's topic on Tuesday about what are some of the AI tools that are being used in physician practices. Then we have our third component, which is team-based care. So transitioning to a team-based approach is not just about delegating tasks among healthcare professionals. It's about creating a supportive and collaborative environment. So for example, and you're in basket management, right? So if you are a clinician, you do not have to be the only person answering patient inquiries. If you are also using a patient portal, you should have a shared in-basket with other of your clinical and non-clinical staff that can support and collaborate with you in answering some of the patient inquiries or messages that fall in the bucket of an administrative response. Those that are delegated for clinicians to really answer that questions will remain in your in-basket. So that's just an example of one. This model enhances care delivery and alleviates physician burnout by distributing responsibilities more evenly, making everyone feel part of a shared effort. No man stands alone. Everyone is in this community. And so it is a collaborative and supportive work in caring for the patient. The fourth component is quality improvement initiatives. Continuous assessment and refinement of clinical processes are essential. You want to implement evidence-based protocols, and regularly reviewing performance metrics can improve patient care and operational efficiency. So when you're looking at your data, what is in a specific or particular data that you're looking at that could lend itself to a quality improvement in initiatives. Remember, not every single data measurement that you have could lend to a quality improvement initiative. And that is where that assessment and identification of what that improvement would be. So if it's an outreach particularly to a preventative measure or something thereof that you are responsible for within the program that you're participating in, that could lend itself a much more improved way of in your clinical processes, then you would definitely want to look at that. So from the independent physician practice perspective, practice transformation is both a challenge and an opportunity. And like larger health systems or groups, practices often operate with limited resources, making large-scale changes daunting. However, the plus side to that is that their smaller size can also allow for greater flexibility and quicker implementation of innovative strategies. So let's look at some of the challenges. So we talked about resource limitations. Implementing new technologies and care models requires financial investment and time. Commodities that may be scarce in smaller practices. Also, remember, practices are different in size. Smaller could be, a 3, 5, 10. Larger could be 20 and above. So remember, your size and scope is going to vary in terms of your resource limitations. What does that look like from implementing new technologies in your care models and by way of financial investment and time? Let's look at the other second challenge is administrative burden. So the shift, if you are participating in a value-based care, often involves increased reporting requirements. So it adds an administrative load, right? Cultural resistance is the third one. Change can be met with resistance from staff accustomed to traditional workflows. I think we've all heard this before. This is the way we've been doing it. And so, this is one of those, it sounds cliche, but we have certainly heard that change can be a resistance because we have been doing it for this way. And so we want to acknowledge that. We want to keep that in the forefront and how to go about navigating and dealing with some of these challenges. So what are the opportunities in practice transformation? First, we want to enhance patient relationships. Independent practices often have closer patient relationships, facilitating personalized care and smoother transitions to patient-centered models. My example for this is there are some family medicine practices that have known their patients for generations. Some of them started out as, the parents who are now parents and who are now grandparents, and they're still seeing the same physician from generation to generation. So I always find that very much amazing in terms of the enhanced patient relationships that they have with independent physician practices. There might be others that are also in specialty practices that, again, you have been taking care of their children, now their grandchildren, now their parents, now their grandchildren. So it's that relationship that they built over time. Then we have agility in implementation as an opportunity. Smaller practices can adapt more swiftly to new processes without the bureaucratic hurdles present in larger organizations. What else is there as an opportunity? So evidence-based strategies for successful transformation. So you want to engage in continuous learning. Participating in collaborative networks and learning from peer practices can provide valuable insights and support. So if you have a peer that is similar in your size and scope, might have a good discussion of what some of their insights are, and are they experiencing the same challenges and barriers, and are there opportunities in their process or practice transformation that could also lend itself to your practice. It's a great way to be able to network in that fashion and ask about some insights that you might be able to apply to your practice. One other way is also looking at the CMS Transforming Clinical Practice Initiative offers technical assistance and resources to practice transformation. The second is leverage external support. Utilizing external resources, from professional organizations. You might want to hire a consultant to assist you in your practice transformation. Having to have a fresh perspective or fresh insight externally can also be helpful as well. You can guide practices through the transformation process. You also want to consider as an opportunity implementing incremental changes. Don't go at it all at once. Doesn't mean practice transformation that you got to gut all this, take it down to the studs, right? You want to be able to, as I've said earlier, assess, identify, and prioritize which ones of these changes that you would like to happen in your practice and make them incremental changes so that your staff or the practice staff and yourself as owners of the independent physician practices can also absorb and process and see what is working and what is not working. So you want to start with something minor, something manageable, and modifications that can build momentum and demonstrate the benefits of transformation. You want to encourage broader adoption over time. And that's the beauty about, let's just call out this one tidbit here, is piloting. When you pilot a particular transformation, you can learn from it, and you can also implement it in a broader and larger scale once you've piloted what you think your transformation is going to be necessary, again, based on your assessment and identification, and alignment of your strategy goals. Then we want to prioritize staff engagement. We want to involve all team members in the planning and implementation phases because they have to foster a sense of ownership and reducing resistance to change. You might identify not only physician champions, but also clinical staff functions in the way of champions. They might be passionate about a particular topic within that practice transformation, that they could be your advocate as well as your champion, or they could be your super user that can help also as a resource in your practice as well. Then our fifth and final, in terms of evidence-based strategies for successful transformation, is focusing on the patient engagement. You want to educate your patients about the changes. You want to communicate what these changes are and how they will benefit them. That could be enhancement of satisfaction and compliance and leading to better outcomes. So when you're endeavoring practice transformation, now is the time to start your journey. When you do start that journey, as I said earlier, you want to assess and identify. You want to determine your analysis, your cost benefit analysis, your gap analysis. You want to be able to bring in your stakeholders, everyone at the practice engaged in what you're trying to do in terms of practice transformation. Ask them for their feedback and insights, because your frontline folks are the ones that are working the process. And also, you want to visualize that. Create your current process. What does it exist as it stands today? And then what would be that desired future process? You also want to acknowledge some things what are the bottlenecks? What are some things that are creating a cog, not allowing it for an efficient workflow? And it could be a minor adjustment. It doesn't necessarily mean it's an overhaul. You could also be using an existing tool that you already have. It's something that maybe you didn't quite use it so much. And now in this practice transformation, it might actually be utilized more, because you learn that, oh, we haven't used this particular tool, and now it's actually turning out to be a benefit for you. So by focusing on patient-centered care, integrating advanced technologies, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement, your independent practice can survive and thrive amidst all this healthcare challenges that are happening and the changes occurring. And so I encourage all of you independent physician practices that you want to take a look at what would be your practice transformation journey, which ones that are your return on investment or your goal for that particular transformation, and how that aligns with your strategy, and bring along everyone in the practice, and then implement what that practice transformation that you are looking to do at your practice. If you need more information, there are external resources out there. And if you would like to reach out to me, feel free. I am in LinkedIn. You can message me, and also in my website at TRAYNE51.com. I'm happy to help. I hope this information was helpful to you. And as I've said, practice transformation is one thing at a time. It doesn't have to be eaten as an entire elephant as a whole, but if we chunk size it into bite size and really take a look at what is that transformation journey and what works, and doing a pilot and implementing that, you can certainly adopt that into a larger scale and foster a new change in your practice. Thank you. Until next Tuesday, our next topic will be AI generated tools. Have a great day.